Hello my beautiful people, welcome to your life path reading for 2022. Can you believe we are here already? So before we get into it, this first part of the reading is always, it's an overview. So what we're going to be looking at is 2022 as a 6-year. This is really important context because it's going to tell you how the year is likely to go in its trends, its themes, the energies that we're likely to experience. And that provides an important context and a backdrop for how we're all going to be experiencing this in, or rather, through the context of the universal year. But more importantly, how that energy is going to play out for us really speaks to how we experience our personal year. So that in itself as well is just as important. I will put a link for those personal year videos in the I'll put one in the description, and I'll put one on the little thing floating above my head so that you can get even more into it. But like I said, this part, don't skip it. It's really important that you get an idea of what we're going to be dealing with. And I will be going very in depth this time round. So let's get straight into it. So 2022 is a 6-year, as you now know. 6 is actually the number that is ruled by Venus. So we can definitely say that 2022 is going to be a much easier, a much slower paced year. It's going to be a much calmer year. What I will say as well, 2021 saw us, we kind of experienced a lot of change, right? A lot of upheaval, lots of sharp turns, lots of twists and turns, lots of surprises. It did see a lot of advances in technology, which I talked about. It did see a lot of advances in cryptocurrency, which I talked about in the 2020 videos, right? In the videos for 2021. So it's great to see that this kind of tracks. Now, in terms of the universal year being the number 6, it is tended towards like a slower pace. It's more focused, it's more connected. It's a lot less erratic as well, which is great for all of us, especially those of us that are already naturally a little bit erratic. It's going to be a year that is directed more towards altruism, a year that's directed more to support, to connection, to balance, harmony. It's definitely going to be a year where people really start to consider their own personal impact on things. So we're going to see this energy of accountability is going to start to become a really big or really powerful theme throughout 2022. Now that accountability isn't just going to be for us on the microcosmic level, it's going to be for all of us on the macrocosmic level as well. So this is going to be about governments, this is going to be about people that are in charge, people that are heads of companies, heads of state, etc. There's going to be a lot more of people expecting others to be accountable for their actions and, more importantly, for their impact on the wider world. So as always, I've got my trusty notes here, so if I'm looking away, that's where I am. All right, so in a way, the buzzword for this number 6 year is responsibility. It's one of the biggest words that comes up for the energy of the number 6, right? So it's going to come sharply into focus for all of us in some way, shape or form. Who are we responsible for? Who are we responsible to? And more importantly, how do we meet those requirements? How is it that we really show up for what and who we are responsible for? And how do we play our part, right? Whether for the good or for the ill, as they say. So some of the considerations that are going to come up with this year, and these are definitely not, like, it's not just limited to the things that I mentioned. You'll see many trends and themes evolve over the year, but these are the ones that I've really honed in on because I kind of feel like these are going to be like they're going to be like the structure or the skeleton of the year that really kind of shows people, right, okay, this is where we're at. So domestic life, when it comes to your home, its contents, everybody that lives within, so people that you live with or, people that you want to live with. How can you get the most out of your home? How can you improve your home? There's going to be a lot of decorating, interior design is really going to take off this year or become a lot more prominent. People, doing more development on their homes. So that whole thing about construction of new homes, definitely going to be a theme throughout this year. The materials that we need in order to construct homes is also going to be a challenge over the course of this year. It's a continuation in a sense, yes, but these things are really going to be highlighted. How can you make your home look and feel better for yourself or for the people that are dwelling inside with you? what can you do to make your home a sanctuary, right? Because your house is what keeps you safe from the elements. It's what helps you shut the world outside out when you need to. It's supposed to be a sanctuary. It's supposed to be warm, you know, to be a place where all of your needs can be met regardless of what's happening. And I think a lot of people are really going to tap into that this year. Home, the hearth, the family, familial ties and connections, whether these are familial ties and connections that you choose or whether they're familial ties and connections that you're born to, is kind of going to be irrelevant this year. It's going to be all about how do we connect? How do we, you know, bring more of that connection in? These things are going to be more important than ever, so I do feel like those things will definitely expand. So on the wider world stage, this is likely to translate to a housing crisis. It might also be that we start to get more conscious of how can we eliminate the problem of homelessness. We might see a big drive towards how we can start to improve, you know, living life for people. It's ridiculous. It's just, sorry, excuse my language, but it's effing ridiculous that in 2022 we still have homeless people. It's just unfathomable. It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. Okay, rant over. Reining it in. All right, so this whole thing about, again, right, this disparity between wealth and, you know, the super wealthy and all the rest of it. Not only are we going to see more of a divide, but we're going to start to see more calls to action to shrinking that divide, to making things more equal, to making things more balanced. Remember, this number is ruled by Venus. Venus is all about balance. It's all about harmony. It's all about smoothing off the rough edges. So it's probably going to see us highlighting what we can do for those that are homeless in some way, shape or form. So another thing that I've got here as well is cleanliness. So I believe that over the course of this year, we're going to see a much more, we're going to be more focused on cleanliness, and how that can be a part of our daily routines, which I find this really interesting as well, because in ancient astrology, Demetra George writes in one of her books that one of the things that is assigned to Aquarius is cleanliness, right? Which is really interesting to me because Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, is in the sign of Aquarius. So I found that really interesting that as soon as we had this, yes, we had the pandemic and the shutdown and the lockdown and stuff, but we also had this really, you know, powerful, stringent drive towards being more clean. Now, what I will say is what I've got here is what is clean? How do we clean? And I think this is going to see a lot of developments on the wider world stage on how we can cleanse or clean our lives, our homes and our bodies, but in ways that aren't toxic to us or the environment. So there's going to be a lot of developments on how we can work in harmony or in tandem with nature rather than fighting with it in some way, which I think is great, right? So we're probably going to see new technologies and things developed when it comes to cleanliness. I think this is going to have a lot to do with sound and frequency. I've got this really, you know, powerful hit when I was doing all of the research for this year, that these are going to be some of the ways that we really tap into this idea of cleansing ourselves, cleansing our space, cleansing our body. And remember, everything at the end of the day is vibration and frequency. So I think we're going to see a lot to do with developments on that front. We'll definitely be paying more attention to our oceans, our seas, our rivers and our lakes. There's going to be big focus on how to clean up our water supply, because if we don't have water, it don't matter how rich, what your status, where you're from, if you ain't got water, you ain't got life, period, right? Clean water is a necessity for everybody. So there's going to be more money and attention placed on the vital waters of life. I definitely believe that. That being said, new developments in blood cleansing and vaccinations. I definitely feel 2026 is where we're going to see a massive advancement towards a cure or a vaccine for HIV and various other illnesses as well. So when it comes to healing, we're definitely going to see a big focus on this as well. A lot of the new age methods will start to really gain prominence. Now, when I say new age, what I actually mean is ancient ways of healing. herbalism, you know, medical astrology, sound, frequency, vibration, all of those things, energy healing. We're going to see all of these things really start to come to the fore. Natural, non-toxic, non-invasive ways of healing are going to really prevail over this year. And here's the beauty of it. I don't think that this is going to pit us at odds with the medical tradition. I actually feel like we're going to start to see a dovetail. This is where we're going to start to see how can we fuse these things? How can we really find ways to integrate the two, which will be brilliant. I definitely think we're going to see an expansion of such things. Sound healing, frequency, vibrational healing will definitely come to the fore. I also think that medical science is definitely going to advance this year. Like, I really believe that. But as a result, I think we're going to see more and more of a crossover between the two. If not a global level, then at least at a grassroots level. And that grassroots level of everything is going to be very important this year, because we're going to see a lot more of that. All right, we're going to start to see less of the we're going to start to see it more on the microcosmic level, let's say. Herbalism, definitely going to be a revival. Green get together and more group healing work as well is definitely going to start to expand. So when we talk about spiritual progression, to be spiritual is to be organized and in harmony with all that surrounds you and all that you encounter. So just like its upside down counterpart, the number 6 has a natural draw towards leaving the world and people better than you find them, right? 6 is actually the number that is all about responsibility and service. It's the energy of the agony aunt or the healer or the mystic or the the maintenance or the caregiver, right? So it's all about leaving things and people or even environments better than you find them. We're going to see a lot of this year and a lot of drive towards that. This energy as well can be known as the fixer energy. So it takes problems, challenges and issues, and it will lovingly and painstakingly work on them until they're dissipated or, removed altogether. It's actually a very spiritual number in that sort of sense, and because the highest form of spirituality is to be of service to the universe in some way, shape or form. I truly believe that. Now, this is it's what I've put here is it's the cleansing ritual before the magic and the enchantment of the year 7 2023 kicks in, right? So for those of you that are into this kind of thing, 6 is the year of the clearing and the cleansing of the space before you set your enchantment or your intention forth in the 7 or the spiritual sphere. All right, so it's an important aspect or a part of this that people often overlook, right? So remember, all steps are important in the process of manifesting something. You can't leave one out, and that means not leaving out the cleansing stage as well. All right, so on the wider world stage, we're definitely going to see more care towards service providers, healthcare workers and professionals, people that actually showed up for us when it really bleeping mattered. Like, we're going to see a lot more kindness and courtesy towards those people, if not from, the oligarchs and all of the hierarchical stuff, certainly from the people on the ground below. All right, so support and connection. This is a very supportive energy. It's very connective. 6 has that natural pull, that natural draw towards harmonizing things, bridging the gaps between things that maybe don't have any connection and finding a way to create one. It means as well taking form from one thing to give to another. So this may very well see, so 2020 and 2021 we saw a lot of wealth transference from the majority of the people to the minority of the people. 2022 is going to start to see the opposite. It's the way that universal law works, right? You can't have something that is unbalanced. The universe doesn't like it, just like it doesn't like a vacuum, right? So it's very, very interesting to see how this will come out. This divide between the wealthy and the poor, we're definitely going to see more of a spotlight on it. If it goes ignored, there will be a lot of noise and a relentless drive towards making it better for everybody as opposed to just a certain few. So let that be a universal warning to those those that are in charge. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a vessel. This will definitely be the starting of the community living. So lots of people have talked about this, and we know it's coming through in the astrology as well. 2022 is where we're really going to see this stuff start to happen. It's actually going to become a reality. We're going to see communities popping up left, right and center. People will be demanding more connection, more community, more sense of pulling together. If they don't get it, and it's not present in the world, then they'll just create it themselves. It will literally just be that, like, okay, well, what we want and what we need isn't being provided, so we'll do it our damn selves. And once we've done that, there's not going to be any standing in our way because we declare our own, right? So, you know, I love it. It will definitely be more about people coming together and living together as well. More sharing, more caring is the name on is the name and the number of Venus. Beauty and romance. So while this number is very practical, it's also very Venusian in a sense. It does appreciate anything and everything natural. We're going to see a draw towards more sort of neutral colors, lots more pastel colors, things that are a lot more things that are a lot more pleasing to the eye, things that are lighter, brighter and more caring. So 2021 was a lot about sort of, you know, what was really in your face and really bold and really deep and all the rest of it, whereas 2022 is going to be a lot more sort of smoother. So I've put here pastels in greens, yellows and blues. Gentle color palettes are definitely going to be way more favorable, as will gentle makeups, anything that is natural, that's kind to the skin, that's kind to the environment, that's easy to make without destroying the environment. All of this is going to be to the fore. Startups that promise, startups that promise to be you know, kind to the environment, or to offer more in the way of you know, kindness to flora and fauna will definitely come up over the course of this year for sure. Also, the demand for more greenery, the demand for more natural feel to things, for more open spaces, more room for animals, more connection to, with and for nature is going to be to the forefront. And again, if we don't get it, people will just start to create it. People are definitely going to start walking away from cities, anywhere that's too built up, where you're living on top of each other like, you know, sardines and stuff. It's just not the way of it anymore. People want more space, more openness and more freedom where they can gather more together. And, you know, again, if they don't get it, they'll just make it themselves. They want clean, fresh, natural, open spaces that have a community or communal feel to it. There's a need or a call for more. That's where the money's going to be flowing as well. So if you're thinking about starting a business, think about all of the things that I've mentioned are going to come up over the course of this year, because this is just the seeding of it. It's not like, oh, here it's 2022 and that's all that's going to be, and, you know, then it's done. This is like literally, that's, you know, this is the chance really for you to get ahead of the next gold rush, I guess. All right, so what people will be interested in. People are going to be interested in things and people that roll up their sleeves and get stuck in and help others. The beauty is in the dirt, in the mud, in the sweat, in the beauty, in the fucking crotch of everything that you are, right? This is about getting stuck into things with the deepest aspects of yourself. It's not about surface stuff. It's about coming together. It's about really being accountable and responsible, and, you know, thinking about other people rather than just yourself. Those are going to be the things that are sexy this year. That's going to be the stuff that really gets people fired up. The elements and how they affect and change us: rain on the skin, air in the lungs, grass under your toes and in between your toes, and sand in your toes. I get really excited because I'm a hobbit at heart. You know, give me a tree to put my back to, a book, maybe some music, don't necessarily need it, but, and, you know, a wide open expanse with my toes in the grass. You got me for life. I'm happy. I don't need much. All right, we'll definitely see a lot of kickback between companies and their workers. Why? 6 is the number of the home and the hearth. And as I said to you last year, this whole idea of going back to the office, a lot of people are just done with it. They're over it. They don't want it, right? And they will continue to kind of hold back from that. So a word to companies, etc. Think about ways that you can sort of maybe create a more blended feel where people can spend more time at home and some time in the office. Because if you try to just get them to come back to this whole 9 to 5 in the grind thing, it's just not going to work. It's already started falling apart. All right, people want comfort, connection, community, and ease. That's got more weight than the high-powered career this year, right? 6 is bringing a reckoning. It really is. Okay, so Jupiter falling or moving into the sign of Pisces is directly feeding into all of this. So Jupiter is the great magnifier, the great expander, the great lord of abundance and growth, children and spiritual law. So I've said this before and I will definitely say it again. I think we're going to see a massive drive to, not drive towards, but I think we're going to see a lot of babies born in 2022 for sure. The big man of kings and universal law is what I've put here. All of it sounds wonderful for the most part, and it is. But consider this, Pisces is the 12th sign. It's a placement of a lot of politics and people that are in politics, which means we might see as well, I think we're going to see a few meteoric rises of certain politicians or people that kind of seem to come out of nowhere and all of a sudden find themselves, you know, at the top with lots of followers or really, you know, standing out in their message or in their speech. If they meet the needs and the wants and the will of the people, they will survive. If not, it will be a collective thumbs down. It's going to be more and more that the will of the people starts to rule from here on in. So again, let that be a message to those of you that are in charge. So Pisces is all things and no thing at once. It's got no boundaries. It's a double-bodied water sign. As such, it's got no boundaries, and it means that we do have quite a lot to consider in this sense, because if Jupiter expands things and Pisces has no boundaries, this is like literally an expansion of that boundlessness. So this is something to consider. It's also going to be, I talked about the huge wave of babies that might be coming in from here on in. We now see a dissolving of certain ideas and also places. The European Union might start to crumble or dissolve. Not saying it will, but just an idea. Borders between countries may also start to come down, or the lines may get very blurred. Neptune's already in Pisces, so we're going to see a lot of legalized drugs this year. And maybe in places where they haven't been before, or maybe places where it's been a little bit more taboo, etc. I think we're definitely going to see a drop in the crime rate, which I talked about in, if any of you purchased my 2022 videos, I talked a lot about this for 2022 in those. So if you've seen the sign videos, then you know I talked about this. Whatever has been hidden will come to light in powerful ways. And then finally, as Jupiter is the ruler of spiritual law, we're going to see more than a few cases of miracles, but it's also going to be vital to have your wits about you, right? It's important that you don't allow yourself to be hoodwinked this year, because there are going to be a few rises of gurus, etc. And as we drive towards more people cultivating a need for spirituality, especially as we get to 2023, it's going to be important to use your own discernment, especially for some of the stuff that we see, because we might see some weird stuff in 2022 still. You know, just be aware that that is the case. Now, I have said to everybody, building a solid spiritual practice for 2022 is going to be vital, because that spiritual practice and that spiritual work that you do in 2022 is going to offer you the life raft or the rope to get you through the murky weirdness that is going to be 2023. I make no bones about saying this, right? For those of you that have seen the webinar that I did with Heather from Astrology with Heather, we talked about the next 5 years from 2020 right through to 2025. It's going to be an interesting time for sure, but 2023 was the year that really stood out to me as being like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a really weird year, right? We're going to see some odd stuff 2022, but it will be the real weird sort of murky what the hell is going on. That will be 2023. So finally, energy medicine, witchcraft, occult things, astrology, numerology, tarot, human design, all of these systems are going to be more in demand than ever. We might see some kickback from them. Integrity is going to be everything. Those tarot readers, astrologers, numerologists, human design readers, witches, all the rest of it. The ones that have integrity will be the ones that really do well this year. Remember, Jupiter's in its home sign of Pisces. So while there'll be an expansion of these things, it will be the ones that have integrity, the ones that are on point, the ones that are not charlatans, basically, that will be the ones that continue to grow, whereas everybody else will kind of fall to the wayside. And then finally, let me be clear, the age of the guru, while coming to an end, will be going out with a bang. All right, so you're going to have to see this, and I do feel that we're going to see a lot of, not a lot of, but certainly some of the bigger ones will be taking a tumble, because the smoke and mirrors energy just not going to cut it this year. All in all, I think this can be a very beautiful year, maybe one that is a little bit excessive, possibly even a little bit pedantic in its energies. Remember, it is Venus ruled, so maybe the dark side is that people just want more luxury because they've been denied so many things. But it is going to be lighter, it is going to be brighter, it is going to be easier, more down to earth, and certainly better than anything we've experienced over the course of the last 3 years. With that said, stick around and we will get into your life path reading for 2022. Thank you so much. Take care and I'll see you soon. Hello, you beautiful Life Path 22 person. Let's get straight into your 12-month breakdown. So before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your what I want to look at here is how your personal life path number is going to interact with the energies of the year, which is 2022, which is a 6 year. So I want to see how this is going to speak to you in some way, shape or form on a more personal sort of level. All right, so looking at how these combine, the first thing that I want to say to you is this is a year for you to put yourself first. Yes, you heard it, Raf talking to a master number vibration life path person, telling them to put themselves first. You heard it here first, and it might be the first and last time you hear it in a long time. So enjoy it while it lasts, right? Especially if you're in a personal year 1 this year, you've got to do it big style, right? So the thing that I will definitely say to you is put yourself first this year. Be honest and be vocal about what you want and you need, right? Don't be afraid to ask for the things that you want. Don't be afraid to voice your opinions on things. This is one of those years, especially if you're in if you're in a personal year 1, this really applies for you, but to a lesser degree, but to a prominent degree nonetheless for all of you. This year, you can be more vocal about what you want, about what you need. This is a year for you to really think about ways that you can put yourself first, that you can really present your wants, your needs, your findings, your opinions above all, above all others. Now, that's not to say ramroad everybody and tread on everybody to get to where it is that you want to be. It's just a case of, putting yourself first and foremost. Give yourself and everybody that you come into contact with a chance at a fresh slate, right? So this year, wipe the slate clean, right? So if you're watching this before we hit the 1st of January of 2022, I want you to go into the next year ahead with a clean, fresh slate. Not a kind of clean, fresh slate, not like a, well, I can forgive everything but this one thing. All of it, right? So you go into the new year as a new person, right? To reinvent yourself and reinvent and maybe even redirect your life in some way, shape or form, but give others that same courtesy. So if somebody's done you a wrong, there's something that somebody owes you, all the rest of it, just cut it, right? Cut it loose, let it go, start again from the offset. And that way, from here on in, as we get into this new year, you can literally say to yourself and to everybody else, from here on in, I mark you you on the merits that you bring from here on in. So if you choose not to change, if you choose to still bring the same kind of dank energy and all the rest of it, then you know what? Yeah, it is time for me to cut loose, right? It is time for me to let you go or to release you in some way, shape or form. Chuck stuff in the stuff it bucket. I can't say what I wanted to say because recently a lot of people have complained, well, not a lot of people, but a few people have complained about my potty mouth. And, you know, if I'm honest, it's gotten a little bit away with itself. So I'm reining it in a little bit. But yeah, you know, this is the year to chuck stuff in the stuff it bucket and move on. All right. This year, reinvent yourself however you see fit. Now, I want to talk about this one a little bit more in depth. And the reason being is you are a master number vibration. 11 has that really sort of amazing chameleon-like energy about it. 33 is completely fluid. Yours is actually the most human of the master number vibrations. It's the most earthly of the master number vibrations. And for that reason, you guys tend to be a bit more fixed. You operate kind of like the fixed signs. You tend to, you know, so if 11 were the cardinal signs, 22 was the fixed signs, and 33 is the mutable signs, right? So if you can kind of typify it like that. So you guys tend to be quite rigid in a lot of ways because you are quite fixed in your energy. So the chance to really change or reinvent yourself on that consistent level, like the other two master number vibrations, it's not always evident. But this year you have that ability. This year you have that choice. So what do you want to recreate yourself as? What do you want to reinvent yourself as? What do you want to, just as I said, reinvent yourself or recreate yourself at 444 on the clock? Very interesting. And that's the question this year. What do you want to reinvent yourself into? What do you, if you were a lump of luxurious clay, right? Not just a lump of old crap. Like if you were a lump of luxurious clay, what would you want to mold yourself into now? This is the question that you need to ask yourself, and have fun with the process. It's not just I decide to be this and that's it, right? That's more of this energy that you're used to, but it's not going to be like that this year. This year you're trying new things, trying things on for size, getting an idea of how something fits, how it sits on you, how, you know, how it feels to you, all of that stuff. So let yourself be reinvented this year, but by your own hand, right? And obviously that of the universe as well, because that's always in motion for all of us, no matter what sign, number, all the rest of it we are, right? We're always in co-creation. It's not solely down to us. All right, so allow yourself to shine, baby, shine. All right, so often I give those of you that have 11, 22 and 33 as a life path number, I tend to be quite tough on you guys. And there's a reason for that. There is a method to the madness, I promise. It's because you guys have so much potential and there's so many things that you can bring to the world and offer the world, that if you just roll off on this path of, you know, consumption and more and, you know, into just the mundane and the physical, it's not just you that loses out, it's the whole world actually, right? Because in some way, shape or form, you guys are here to elevate us. So I tend to be quite strict with you guys, but this year you can be selfish, right? You can be self-centered, you can seek the limelight, you can want to step out onto the wider world stage, you can be a bit me. You know, you've got that confidence this year, you've got that bravado, and it's not even bravado because you've got the goods to back it up, right? Which is brilliant. All right, so get acquainted with how your inner self asks to be nurtured. This one is really, really important because you're going to be more vocal about what you want and what you need. It's really important for you to figure out which one is which. What are your needs, the things that you actually need? Is it love, more nurturing, more money, a stable home, a stable relationship, a spiritual practice or a spiritual path? Like, what are your actual needs and your necessities, and are they being met? If not, be vocal about it. And what are your wants? What are your desires, right? What is it that you actually desire on a human level? What is it that you desire on a spiritual level? What is it that you desire on a mental level, an emotional level, a sexual level, in all senses of self? yourself, what are your desires? When you really know these things about yourself, what you want, what you actually need, asking for it is really, really easy. And more importantly, it's like once you know that space within yourself really, really well, you become really quite untouchable. You can't be manipulated through your needs or your desires. This is a year to get really comfortable with that. And then finally, this is all about new paths, new directions, new connections, new people, new things, new places, right? All of that kind of stuff. But if you are in and new beginnings and starting new things, absolutely. Unless you are in a personal year 2, a personal year 4, a personal year 7, or a personal year 9. If you're in any one of those 4 years as a personal number, there's a link in the description box that will show you how to calculate your personal year. There's also a link in the description box below to take you to a playlist for the video for that specific year, right? So I'm giving you everything that you need to get the jump on 2022 so that you can launch into the new year fully aware and prepared. And if you want to go even deeper than that and get even a little bit of astrological insight of how the eclipses and stuff are going to affect you, there is a link in the description box where you can purchase your 2022 sign videos so you can get even more information on this and really get into the new year in the best possible way. All right, so if I mentioned any one of those 4 personal year numbers for you, 2, 4, 7 and 9, this is not a good year to start new things, right? And if you watch those videos, then you will understand why. Now, your blessings for this year, you can be true to yourself, right? Really, more than maybe you have in a long time. Now, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. We all, at times, operate from the very human, from the very mundane, and from sometimes our lower selves. So if you're at Life Path 22 and you've been operating at that 4 energy, right, at that 4 level, that's fine. This year gives you a chance to step back into that 22 power, right? But you've got to take the challenge and you've got to walk the path. New people and new connections, a year for magic and independence, baby. Are you ready? Are you ready? All right. And then finally, your lessons. This can make you somewhat selfish this year. You might find that the way that this, you know, and like I said, self-focused, self-directed, you know, self-nurturing, self-sustaining, all the rest of it, all of those things, very good. If we're talking about selfish, where it's just me, I, and nothing but, and you're not even giving anyone or anything, you know, chance or leeway to enter your life, maybe you want to rethink that. Lone wolf energy, right? This year you might really find that you just want to blaze ahead, right? You want to blaze a trail and you don't really care about waiting for people to catch up. That can be a bit lonely, all right? You can be a bit of a determined hermit this year. I put that in my notes, like literally you could be like determined just to spend more time on your own so that you can do what you want. You're like freedom and liberation are big energies for this year for you. And then finally, this energy, the way that it combines could make you it could make you a little bit all or nothing, right? You know, well, it's my way or the highway, or if you don't do this, then it's not happening, or do you know what I mean? Like you can be a bit sort of forceful this year. So just be careful with that energy. So now we're going to get into your cards breakdown. So you get 1 destiny card and 1 direction card per month for the year ahead. And I kind of feel that your first card out, it kind of like sets the tone for the year. So it's going to give you an idea of what this year is going to encompass, what's going to have in it for you. As we start the year, Venus is going to be retrograde up until the 29th of January. And then on the Mercury retrograde, you're going to have this retrograding out of the sign of Aquarius back into the sign of Capricorn. So we start this year feeling that kind of driving with the brakes on. Don't let that get in your way, right? Don't let it stop you. Don't let it hold you down, and don't use it as an excuse. For your first card out for the year, you have the Empress. Fruitful endeavors, growth, earthly pleasures. Oh yes, right? Not only that, the Empress is, it's fertility, right? And what is fertility? It's the ability to create and to procreate. So in a lot of ways, this really speaks to this idea that this year, if you really know what you want, if you really know what you need, you can absolutely go after it, and it will grow, it will proliferate, right? There's not only that, this is a very juicy card. Like, it's sensual, it's practical, it's earthy, it's joy and pleasure for its own sake, right? Find ways to inject these into your life over the course of January, but over the course of the year as well, right? You want to find ways that really allow your ideas to grow. This is a great year for planting seeds for a lot of you, starting new things, going in new directions, unless of course I mentioned you're in one of those specific personal years, right? In which case, I mean, the videos will show you how to use these in sort of better stead. All right, for your direction card, you've got the Devil card. So as they say, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. You've got the Devil card with the Empress, right? So straight out of the gate, you could definitely be on that overindulgence kick, right? Me, mine, mine. I want more money, I want more health, I want more sex, I want more, just give me more of everything, right? You could find that in January, you are either going a little bit overboard, or in response to how much you enjoyed yourself over the holiday season, maybe you're going to another extreme where it's like, well, you know, I overindulged, I drank too much, I ate too much, I partied too much, and now I'm only eating cabbage soup for the whole month. It's not really balanced. All right, so just something to consider. This could also be a time where as well you are so focused on the material and the mundane that you're refusing to see that there are other things available to you, right? The other thing is as well, remember the Devil card can be your obsessions and addictions, and the Empress card is just pleasure, right? So it's kind of like, maybe for a lot of you, you're saying to yourself, at all costs, I want to feel good. At all costs, I want everything to feel good all of the time, which for me always suggests that you're running away from something, right? So this January is definitely a month where you want to consider what you might be trying to escape from and the ways that you are doing this, right? Through the material world. Food, sex, drugs, rock and roll, all of the rest of it. Now, on a more positive level, right? You know, on a more positive reframe, one of the ways that this could show up for you, and this is really exciting, this could see you so dedicated to improving your body, your health, that maybe it's a bit of a culture shock to the people around you, right? So this thing that I said about the cabbage soup, maybe it is kind of something like that, where you say to yourself, no, I want to get fit, I want to get healthy, I want to look good, I want to feel good. And you're like on this kick, but it's almost like to the point where it's an obsession, where it's like you're going from one extreme to the other. This could make you very dedicated. It could make you really dedicated to something, but it might go a little bit too far. All right, so just keep that in mind. And then finally, one of the other positive attributes of this energy, it could really see you being very very obsessed with the aesthetic of things, right? But that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's just a really powerful sense of perfectionism with these two cards. So, you know, while that energy is going to pervade the whole year, it does feel like it's quite prominent here for you, you know, in January, and maybe on a personal level. February, there's that determined hermit, right? So look at this straight away. I mean, this is a lot of earth, right? Although Venus can be air as well, because she rules Libra as well. You've got the Empress card, you've got the Devil card, and you've got the Hermit. That's basically all three: Taurus, Capricorn and Virgo. That's all three of the earth signs before you've even really got out of the gate, you know, from the first quarter of the year. This really says to me that you're going to be dealing with a lot of material aspects or challenges or issues throughout life, but it also suggests that you are really hell-bent on improving your material life in some way, shape or form. Now, this isn't actually that much out of the realm for you, because you are a 22. 22 is ruled by Saturn, and it has a very earthy, very slow-moving, practical, hard-working nature. So the fact that you've got so much earth here, it kind of tracks, right? Especially because, you know, January we're coming out of Capricorn season. So the fact that you've got the Hermit card here as well, it looks like you're really starting to get a deeper understanding of something, whether that's yourself. This will be a time where as well you're very likely to be seeking or searching for new knowledge, right? So this is about you really digging into a subject, right? So this could, I mean, for some of you, maybe this is about manifesting, maybe this is about your diet, maybe it's about the body, like, you know, and this could be one of the really more positive energies of those cards in January. Maybe you say to yourself, right, I want to get fit and healthy, but it's not just about, okay, I'm going to diet and I'm going to exercise and done. It's like maybe you start, you know, reading up on what type of diet your specific DNA or physiology should have. Maybe you start looking into sleep cycles and patterns. Maybe you start learning about the human body, you know, and your muscles and the way that they consume food and stuff. Like, this could be you really doing some very in-depth research. And this comes up with the Tower card, right? So February is very likely to be a time where we're going to see more kind of isolation. This could, for some of you, this could be you deciding to cut yourselves off. Maybe you are choosing to go into hermit mode. For some of you, this might come really suddenly as well, because you've got it with the Tower card. However, another way that this might show up is through this deep introspection, through this sort of deep knowledge or learning or connecting something, you could really gain some big insight. Maybe something comes to you and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, I never knew this before. And it could be like a big startling realization of some kind. So keep that in mind for February. The other thing as well, this is, the Tower card is things that usually come really almost like very out of the blue, very out of the sudden. And it can sometimes be catastrophic because it comes up here with the Hermit card. I'm almost tempted to say that we're going to be hearing something on the news or the wider world stage about the elderly, and it will be specifically about the elderly, the older people. Another way that this might show up as well is we could see a big thing going on with the service industries, because the Hermit card is ruled by Virgo. So very, very interesting. For March, you have the Lovers card, right? Love, relationships, partnerships, sex and sensuality all come to the fore in March. Not bad things to have, why not? What this also suggests though as well, remember the Lovers card is about choice. It's about making a decision. And this is the thing, when we talk about the choice in the Lovers card, everyone's like, oh, you know, but it's the Lovers card and, you know, there's the choice. Very often it's not the easiest of choices, right? Sometimes it's a really heartfelt choice that we have to make, and not an easy one at that. You've got this with the Six of Wands. So for those of you that are single, March definitely looks like a time where you could be meeting someone. Now, for those of you that are single and ready to mingle, January, you could be enjoying a lot of company. You could be enjoying a lot of pleasurable time with other people. It just doesn't feel like there's anything concrete, whereas March is much more about, yes, we're aligning. You know, I'm going to let this person meet my friends, meet my loved ones, etc. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, this is very nice. And although the Six of Wands is, you know, victory and success and praise and all the rest of it, there's two ways that this could show up for you. One of them is your partner could do really well at work. Maybe something really improves for them. And so this improves the financial lot for both of you. It could be that you and a partner are maybe, for some of you, it looks like you're either deciding to travel together or you're moving in together. All in all though, March looks like a nice time. Now, 2 6s usually represents either irritability or balance. And the reason I say this is because the Lovers card is number 6 and the Six of Wands is also number 6. So 2 6s can be, you know, balance or irritability. And just because of the way that it's come up, I believe this is more about the balance side of things, which is great. So as we come into April, we have the first of the eclipses and the first eclipse of the first eclipse season of the year. On April the 30th, we've got a powerful solar eclipse in the sign of Taurus. Pay attention to what shows up for you here, because it's likely to culminate, end, or complete down here in November. All right. So for April, you have the Magician card, right? This is you tapping into the power of that eclipse. Now, I tend to say to people, don't necessarily use eclipses, because it's quite a, you know, as Heather calls it, as a wild card energy, or as I think it's Austin Coppock he talks about them as being quite malefic energies, right? So in the way that I see it, it's kind of like you don't really know exactly what you're getting, all right? So you can use the energy around it, but maybe not necessarily specifically the energy of the day, all right? But with the Magician card here, April looks like a power month for you. This could be a time where you have got something that you're wanting to share. This could be a time where you yourself are elevating in some way. Maybe for some of you, you are completing some form of study. Maybe you're starting some form of study that takes you to the next level of your career, that takes you to the next level of what or who you're going to be or to present to the world. I like the Magician card, I always have, and one of the reasons is because it's not just about being at the height of your game, it's also about tapping into your own primal energy to make something manifest, which is your will, right? And this comes up with the Page of Pentacles. I love this. All right, so for a lot of you, whatever happens around April, now I don't say this lightly, and it is something that I'm really trying to get people to understand recently, because we've got into this sort of trap of I've got to find my purpose, and if I don't find my purpose then my life is over and it's useless, and it's like, no, it's not. Don't be so ridiculous. You don't just have one purpose in life and that's it, and then you get chucked onto the scrap heap of life. You have multiple purposes in life, right? You'll have, as a son or a daughter or a mother or a wife or a husband or a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, you have so many more purposes than just one in life. Just like you'll have and I mean, April could be a time where you are discovering the thing that is next going to be your purpose. The reason I say this is because the Page of Pentacles can very often be things that tug us in the direction of what our soul really wants to do. The fact that you've got this with the Magician card means that you are manifesting something that you have wanted or needed on a soul level for a long time. This April eclipse is going to be very powerful for you, and it does look like you are initiating something new. Now, for some of you, this will be to do with your work. For some of you, this will be to do with your relationship. And for some of you, this will be to do with your academic life. And the reason I say that is because the Page of Pentacles is always practical in nature, right? It's a message about your actual path, what you should be doing. For some of you as well, it looks like you'll be starting something new around March and April. And it's like whatever you're starting, you're just like really good at it really quickly, which is really, really nice, right? It's like you master something very quickly. For some of you, this will be mastering something new in line with what you're already doing. For May, you have the Judgment card. So in May, you've got the lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio on the 16th of May. On top of that, you've also got the Mercury retrograde that will come out of the sign of Gemini and back into the sign of Taurus. So that Taurus energy is going to go way beyond April, right? I mean, the eclipse itself is on the April the 30th, so it's obviously going to go beyond April. But with that Mercury retrograde activating all of that energy as well, it's definitely going to go a little bit longer than that. You've got the Judgment card, right? So whatever is set into motion in April, you're going to start to see big changes as soon as you get to May, right? That Judgment card is basically saying whatever shapes up for you in April, you're called to action straight away. Like as you get into May, it's like you hit the ground running and things are already taking off for you. And you've got this with the 8 of Cups. Now, I'm going to say this to you. Whatever opportunity shows up for you as of, that eclipse or as a result of that eclipse and comes up in May, you may need to change your area of living. You might need to change your job. You might need to change your company name. You might change the branding, the direction that your company is going in. There is some big change that's being wrought here in May, and it's almost like you're having to literally walk away, release something in order to go in this new direction. But it really does feel like April and May, it's almost like you're shunted into where you're going next, and it might happen really quickly in what feels kind of like overnight. Don't be disconcerted with this, right? Roll with it, just kind of go with it, especially with what I talked about with the numerology in the beginning of this video. So as we come into June, You've got the Sun card, baby. All right, so this is great. So what this tells me is there is an element of travel between May and June, but the travel that's coming up for you, it has a very, I almost want to say like a very serious feel to it. So this could be literally you're moving for a job. This could be that you are buying your first home. Maybe this is that you're having your first child. Something about your life is really starting to change between May and June. And that Sun card basically says that it's something really, really great. So whatever the move is, no matter how fast or kind of dynamic and stuff it feels, it really is taking you in the right direction. And this comes up with the Knight of Swords, so there's definitely some form of travel, possibly spontaneous travel, because it is the Knight of Swords. There is an interview taking place here in June as well. There's an interview or a meeting that comes up, and the weird thing is I don't feel like this is planned. It's almost like it just kind of happens and you're like, okay, well, this is happening now, so, you know, I've got to get ready for it. The reason I say this is I see you either giving a talk, a speech, or a presentation of some sort, and when you do, it's going to be one of those moments where it's like, wow, I can't believe this is the way that my life is now, you know, like this could be a really wonderful moment. So, excuse me, and you've got the Fool card right next to the Sun, right? So my money for conception time is May and June. For those of you that are hoping to have babies, hoping to, or even initiate new projects, April, May and June look really nice. But for me, it's May and June. These look like times where you could be conceiving, even July with that Fool card, but new things, new places, new people. This is where you're really going to be embodying the energy of this year, the way that your number combines with the year itself. So this could be really, really potent, really powerful. And the Fool card comes up with the 8 of Pentacles. I said it, right? So interview of some sort. This is you starting a new job. It's starting new work, maybe starting work in a new place, right? So maybe you're doing the same job but at a higher level at a different company. Don't be surprised this year if people appear to be fighting over you, right? Where it's like, well, no, we want you to come here. And it's like, it could be one of those times as well, you know, in life where maybe you get several offers and it's like you're then in a position where you can kind of say, well, you know, they're offering me this, these are people are offering me this. Like you find the sweet spot in the middle that works for you, that speaks to you. This is new work, right? New work, new job, new place of work, new place of study for some of you. There's definitely an evolution of your skills here as well, right? We can see that because whatever skill, hobby, or new advancement that you're taking in April, you're really starting to settle in with it by July. Like you're really, like by then you've already really kind of like mastered it, which is great. All right, so for August you have the Wheel of Fortune. This is fantastic, right? So you're getting good results, and good results relatively quickly. There's one thing that appears to be really evident about this year for you guys. For those of you that are Life Path 22s, expect this year to zip by. Like it's just gonna be, you might be like, get to August and think like, holy crap, like where is the year going? Like it's crazy. You've got this with the 7 of Wands, right? So Wheel of Fortune with the 7 of Wands, energy. Any challenges, issues, or disputes that come up for you with work, in work, or around work are likely not to last very long and will definitely settle in your favor. For those of you that are retired, maybe not working for any reason, August could be a time where the tide changes. So maybe for those of you that are going back to work, you're deciding to go back to work, right? For those of you that are maybe those of you that are retired, I will say that this year is very much about living on purpose, right? Not discovering your purpose, not getting a new career, not even getting a new job. Like ways that this stuff could show up for you is you start to fill your time with things that feel truly meaningful for you in some way, shape or form. Now, with August, the one thing that I do want to say to you is this is a time where you're probably going to need to keep your body really strong, and you really want to pay attention to the way that you're treating yourself on a physical basis, on a daily basis, right? So this could be a time where really looking after your immune system, doing whatever you can to strengthen it, is going to be really, really important. It is the Wheel of Fortune as well. For those of you that are hoping to do more travel in August, it looks like there's some challenge that comes up with this. It doesn't look like it will stop you taking the trip or the journey, but there is something about it that seems to be a hindrance or is kind of like in the way. For September, you've got the third and final Mercury retrograde of the year that will retrograde out of the sign of Libra back into the sign of Virgo. You've got the Tower card, right? So be careful. This month is going to be a little bit dicey for you, all right? So what I will say to you is, usually this is a big realization, but this actually feels like this could be a month of real intensity. And it kind of feels like as well, maybe all of the plans that you have collapse, right? And they just don't go anywhere, right? And that's okay. Remember what I said to you, this is a year to try things on for size. If something doesn't work, you know that that's not the right avenue for you, so you keep it moving. And this comes up with the Death card. Okay, so I have to talk about what I see. And the first thing that I see from here, this is a spontaneous death. I touch wood, I truly hope that I'm wrong on this matter. I just know what I see in my cards when I see it. And the fact that these combinations, is very, very rare that the Death card means actual death. There are a few combinations where when they show up, you know that this is literal. There's going to be someone or something that passes over or on. I will say this to you. I don't think you yourself, you know, I think you, Life Path 22 person that is watching this, will be fine. But it will be a death that very likely shocks you. It will come quick, it will come fast, it will come sudden. That's the only real beauty here, is that there won't be any pain or suffering or anything like that. It will just be here one day, everything was fine, gone the next, right? That's on that level. On a more personal level, or let's say like a more internal level, this could likely be a month where you are starting to get very selective about what you know isn't working, and you could literally be letting something go, releasing something, or letting someone go, right? This could be a time where you say, actually, you know what, that path, that person, that connection, not for me anymore. So as we come into October, we have the second eclipse season of the year. So October 25th, we've got a powerful solar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. And for that, you have the High Priestess. Hidden things will be revealed. If there's any big secrets to come out over the course of 2022, my money is on February, because that came up as a consistent message throughout this year. I also have on good authority that May will probably be one of those months, and October and November will also be months of that. So on the wider world stage, do expect something to happen around October where everybody's like, okay, I'm sorry, what just happened? What did we just hear? What did we just find out? This comes up with the Two of Pentacles. So for those of you that are hoping to make big purchases, it looks like if you're doing so, you're having to do so behind the scenes. There's something about this. There's hidden money here, all right? And I don't know why this is coming up, but there's either some big financial transaction that you're trying to keep hidden, or some big, I would say big, you know, or there's some money that comes to you that you didn't even know was there, right? So let's say, you know, somebody passes and they leave you an inheritance, especially with the way that the cards flow right next to each other. You know, maybe you had an old aunt who you adored, but you didn't really see much, and then, you know, you find out that they've left you 10 grand. Like, it could be something like that. But there's definitely there's money coming to you here in October that you just don't expect, and when it shows up, you might be very, very surprised that it does. Now you've got two twos here as well. This two twos represents a bond, a pact, or an accord, as they call it. Sorry, I've got something in my eye and it's driving me mad. I don't want to stop the video. Because you've got these two twos here, and it is about the finances, it is about the intuitive sort of, or things that are happening behind the scenes. I almost want to say to you, this looks like you're making a financial transaction, either that you're trying to keep hidden, like I said earlier, or that you are, there's like some secret deal that's taking place that you just don't want to talk about. Intriguing, very intriguing. For November, we've got the closing out of this second eclipse season. This is going to be a lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus. Remember what I said, whatever you're doing around here, you're culminating, completing, or bearing fruits here. And for this, you have the Temperance card, right? So this is a balance point, and it's also a moment of recalibration and alignment. So this could be a time where things really start to level out for you in some way. I almost want to say, like, this could be a time where you're starting to really understand energy, vibration, people and connections, and the connections that you have to them. This comes up with the Three of Wands. So Three of Wands with the Temperance card for me is usually either big travel or connections with people, things, or places overseas. This also suggests as well that there's a big sort of move that you're wanting to make. Maybe that's what this financial transaction is that's happening here. And then it's like you're taking this, you know, you're looking at something way further afield. I've seen these two as a combination represent somebody who was traveling somewhere to somewhere in the world. To buy, I think it was jewelry that she went to buy, like, so she would go and buy jewelry somewhere else in the world, bring it back and then sell it online and stuff. This could be something like that. There is an element here where you are connecting to things and people that are very different from you. And I will say this as well, considering this eclipse is going to be a little bit intense, you actually have it quite good. This could be a very lucky eclipse for you. And the reason I say that is because the Three of Wands has a very lucky energy about it. And then as we finish the year off, you have the Emperor card. So getting established in some way, shape or form, right? This is where something is taking on new proportions, or certainly more traditional or authoritative ones. You've got this with the Fool card. So for some of you, I mean, December could be a time where you are either changing your, for some of you, you could be launching a business. You could be starting a company of some sort. You could be working with people overseas. For some of you, you could be getting a new boss. So one way that this would show up, I don't think this is necessarily you or changing your work. December might be a time where you find out that your boss is leaving and there's going to be a management reshuffling or restructuring. If that is the case, don't be ashamed, or don't be afraid to put your hat in the ring, right? It could be a good time to do so. So for your key to the year from the Human Design Oracle deck, you have the Gate 50, the Gate 56 and Storyteller, right? What I love about this card is it reminds us that every story is valid, and that it's sometimes in the story that we find our message, right? So this is a time where you have, or should I say, the key to this year is finding out how you captivate your audience, how you speak to people in a way that really catches their attention, how you become the master magician, how you become the master word slinger, right? This is a powerful year to that. It's how you speak, how you communicate, how you come across, how you present yourself, right? That really is going to win the day for you. So your challenging months, February looks to be quite challenging. May could be challenging for different reasons. August, I would say, be aware that that could be challenging. September looks like it could be a challenge as well. And October could be if there is something that you want to really keep hidden. Your power months, well, look, I like January. If you can find a positive way to channel that energy, it could be very good for you. March looks really nice. April looks really good. June, even though it's a bit rocky, looks good. July is quite nice. And I have to say, I quite like November for you. All in all though, not a bad year at all. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments, do you love it? Do you loathe it? How does it speak to you? I wish you all of the best for 2022. I truly hope you have an amazing year and that it is your best yet. Take care and I'll see you soon.